Hey everyone, hope you guys are good. So let's get into question 3 on chapter 15 for period cost allocation. And guys, this is a past midterm question. So let's read it and just jump right into it. The XYZ manufacturing company has 3 service departments and 2 producing departments. They're currently evaluating several methods of allocating the service department budget cost to the producing departments. Accordingly, the following information is prepared for the month of January 2024. We see here, guys, service departments, producing departments. Okay, so guys, service and support means the same thing. Production and operating means the same thing. So we have our service or support departments on the left, our production departments on the right, and now we could just jump right into this. So assume that the cost drivers for each department are as follows. Okay, so now we see here below how each department allocates their cost. Okay, now to get into this, guys, let's go read the required and figure this out. Okay, so assume the utilities is allocated first, then maintenance, and finally personnel. So guys, they give us an order, like an order for the allocations. Okay, so that's going to be used for our step down most likely. And just so you guys can see here, by putting utilities first, maintenance, and personnel last, it just goes from highest to lowest cost. Okay, so that's just, if they didn't say that, you would just do highest to lowest cost because it's literally that order anyway. So indicate the proportions in numerical fractions. Okay, that's the key thing here. We have to say what the proportions are, but as a fraction, in which service department costs would be allocated to all various departments using A, the direct method, and B, the step down. Okay. So guys, rather than building like our cost allocation board, because you know, guys, normally there's 2 boards that we build, right? We have our cost allocation board first, and then afterwards, guys, we have our matrix or allocations, or like proportion matrix or allocation schedule, whatever you want to call it. That in the allocation or allocation schedule or proportion matrix, whatever you want to call it, you're basically figuring out the percentage of each department. Like, sorry, let me rephrase that. You're basically figuring out the percentage of each department that you're going to use to allocate the cost. Okay. So that's what we're doing here, guys. We actually don't even need to build the cost allocation board for required A. It just, what would be the allocations? So we just need to figure out the percentages for the allocation for the direct method and step down. Okay, then part 2, using the step down method, determine the factory overhead application rates for the production department. Okay, and last required, something we have not seen yet, how to calculate our overhead rate. So that's something that we saw in column 305, okay? And we're gonna go over it now here in ACCO 330, how to calculate the overhead rate in chapter 15. Okay, so that's a little bit of a trick, but we'll get after it. All right, now, when solving through this question, guys, like I said, normally build the cost board, then your matrix, your proportion matrix, or cost allocation schedule, whatever you want to call it. Now we're just going to build our proportion matrix, okay? So for the direct method first, so let's do required 1A, required 1A. Okay, so we're going to build our proportion matrix for the direct method. Proportion matrix. Direct method. Okay, now remember for the direct method, we ignore the relationship between support departments. Okay, so let's go put down all our supports here. Support, and let's merge and center for 3 cells. And then operating. Let's put this here, and then I'm going to put here. Okay, we're going to put, because it's direct method, so I'm going to put utilities. Utilities, actually, let's put it on top like this. Utilities and utilities. Okay, then maintenance. You know what I'm going to do, actually, just because, like, I don't feel like typing this all out. Sorry, guys, I know you're going to have to type this out or write this out. I apologize in advance. Then I'm going to put here total. Okay. Now, guys, this is just the proportion matrix because they're not asking me for the cost for the direct method, okay? They're just asking me what would the proportion matrix look like. And then the key thing is here, guys, in numerical fractions, okay? So now, guys, when going through this question, let me just put in everything here. Let's fill this all in first. Let's do this, machining, assembly. Okay, so we got our matrix here. Okay, and then, no, will it be like this? Do I want to do it like that? You know what? No, we'll do it like this. Okay, we'll break it up. We'll go utilities, total, percentage, because technically you guys could do it in one shot, right? Like, you know what? What I'll do this a little bit shorter, and then afterwards, we can do it in one. We could do it the longer way. Okay, so we'll do it in one shot. I'll show you guys the fast way to do it because maybe you're like, okay, Matthew, like the way you do it normally, like in the previous 2 recordings, at the time of this recording, like maybe it'll take a little bit long, which it would, but I can show you guys like a quick way too. All right, so we'll do that actually. You know, it's good to mix it up, and that way you guys can see like different ways of solving, especially as you get better. Like you don't have to go solve like the same way every single time unless you want to. If you get better over time, guys, you could kind of take some shortcuts. So we'll focus on that here. Okay, now. I'm going through this question, guys. What I didn't mention in the beginning is here for the support departments. Okay, like I said, we have to figure out how each like, because they just give you the support departments here, but they don't tell you how the cost is allocated. So it's important that we had this piece of information here so we can know how each cost gets allocated, okay? Now, for the cost driver for the operating departments, guys, if you're ever given, okay, the cost driver for the operating departments, basically how the operating departments incur cost, just know that this is going to be for your overhead rate, okay? And we'll use that a little bit later, all right? So I'll show you guys how we're going to do that in a bit. Now, to do this the fast way, build a proportion matrix using the direct method, okay? This is what you guys need to know. Let's first do the total. What's the total that utilities is going to have to allocate? So for utilities, guys, okay, they allocate based on kilowatts. So we need to figure out what would be the total kilowatts. So look at this line here, this very first line. We'll go line by line, right? What are we going to include as our total? So when I'm taking my total, because normally, guys, you would say, well, there's no self-allocation. Okay, so that's the very obvious one. Okay, so let's go put the X here. There's no self-allocation. So even though utilities allocates 800 kilowatts themselves, I could care less. Okay, and that's what I'm actually going to start off with. So let's go put it everywhere. Oops. Wait, what's going on? Let's put here. Okay, now square meters. Who allocates based on square meters? Maintenance is square meters. Okay, let's cross that out. And then let's go again. And then personnel is based on the number of employees. So number of employees, personnel. Cross that out, okay? So even though that there's some numbers there, guys, you know that you're never doing any self-allocation. So you're never going to count this number when you're doing your total allocation, okay? Now, first off, utilities, how much are going to allocate to themselves, guys? So normally on the exam answer, you know, based on my prior tutorials, maybe you'd be inclined to put a black box here. But guys, that's not technically an answer. So what we're going to do, guys, because it's the direct method, you're going to put 0% here because it's the direct method. There's no allocation there. So for utilities, maintenance, and personnel, all 0, okay? And then here as well. Okay, and get rid of machining assembly. I put that there just out of habit. But yeah, this is what I want to show you guys right off the bat. We have utilities, maintenance, and personnel. 0, 0, 0. And why is there all zeros here? Why is there no allocation from support departments to support departments? Because we're doing the direct method. Now remember, guys, the utilities here, the maintenance here, and the personnel here, okay, you would never do these anyways because those are self-allocations. Okay, utilities can't allocate to themselves. It's like playing connect the dots here, guys. Look, utilities, connect the dots, can't allocate there. Maintenance, connect the dots, where these two meet, can't allocate there. Personnel, it's where these two meet, can't allocate there, okay? And the rest is 0 because you're doing the direct method. Now, that means, guys, when we're taking our total allocation, I'm not considering these numbers here, right? I'm not considering them because I'm doing the direct method. So my total here is going to be 33,000 plus 35,000. So my total allocation is 68. And now to do my fraction, I'm just going to do 35,000, or sorry, 33. Oh, it's 33,300. Whoops. 33,300. Okay, so I'm going to do 33,300 divided by this. There we go. And then to put as a fraction, okay, we go put here. I think Excel always messes up fractions. So let's see, where's fraction? There we go, fraction. No, it's not 1/2. Okay, this is where it gets annoying here. I'm pretty sure it's not the best number. So let's see if I put it like this. 49 over 100, is that really it? Because on my solution, it's different. I have 333 over 363. So, like, why is it not like that? Oh, there we go. Okay, so wait, what fraction did I pick here? Up to 3 digits. But then as the hundredths, okay, you know what? We'll keep it like this. As 3 digits, my solution looks like that. Okay, then we'll do the same thing here. We'll do, for assembly, they use 35,000 kilowatt hours over the total. So guys, you could do it like this as well. All right, or you could do it the way that we've done it in the tutorials, where you kind of just go, well, in the tutorials, this is a tutorial. Okay, and let's go put this as a fraction. And then I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to change them all. Yeah, here we go. So let's go here and let's adjust. Okay, and let's actually do it for all of these. Let's go put here on fraction. No, wait, I gotta put it as fraction and then general fraction there. Okay, 3 decimals. Perfect. Okay, so that's how you could do it, guys. If you just want to do it in one shot, you could just do 33,000 over the total, or you could do it how we did it before, where you have utilities, then you have your total, and then you have your allocation. So this is how we've done in the past, right? So you guys remember this, when you allocation, and you just repeat this process 3 times over. But if you are comfortable, guys, you could kind of just do it in one shot. You don't need to go break it up at each step, because you could do it like this, guys, just to show you. We have 33,300 divided by 68, one divided by the other. There. You see how you get your answer? You could do it like that if you want. You could do it in one shot. So we'll do it a little bit of a different way just so people could get exposed to different ways to solve, okay? So now let's get into it. Now, maintenance, guys. Okay, so let's go do the total for maintenance. 40,000 and 5,000 only. Why do I only consider these two? Because I'm doing the direct method. So even though there's some relationship between the support departments, I'm ignoring that. So I'm doing 40,000 plus 5,000. There, 45. Now I'm going to do 40,000 divided by the total. That's how I get a proportion. Then I'm going to do 5,000 divided by the total. There we go. Okay, next, for personnel. Personnel, remember, we ignore the relationship between support departments. So even though, for the direct method, so even though there's some allocations here between the support departments, I'm only taking into account the amount of people that directly help the operating because I'm doing the direct method. So the direct method ignores the relationship between support departments. So our total allocation is 147 for machining, plus 20 people for assembly, so 167. Now we do 147 divided by 167. Then we do here 20 divided by 167. And then we get 167 here as well. And just like that, guys, you have your answer now to required 1A, where we've built the proportion matrix. So you could alternatively do it, guys. You know, you could build it the way you normally do, and just like I showed you earlier, like whatever way you prefer. Okay, so maybe I'll do it at the end of the recording if you guys want to see it, just so I give people the chance to like opt out. Okay, so this was a bit of the, you could say it the quick way. It's like whatever way you prefer at the end of the day. Okay, so anyways, guys, this is your answer to required A. That's your proportion matrix. So this is what you would use to allocate if you were to build the cost chart, right? The cost allocation grid for the direct method. Okay, now let's do required 1B, and I'm literally just going to copy in the same grid. Okay, now let's get rid of everything. Okay, the self-allocations are still applicable, by the way, but we'll just get rid of here everything, okay? Now, first off, guys, when we're doing the step-down method, okay, because now part B, step-down method, remember the ranking is the most important thing here, okay? So we have to see how we do the rankings. Now, for the rankings, guys, let me get rid of all these highlights here. Okay, and I keep the no self-allocations. I'm staying firm on that. I always X that out right away. Okay, so now my rankings. I have utilities first, maintenance, and personnel. Okay, because we're ranking based on the highest, lowest cost, basically, okay? Not basically, that's what we are doing. Now let's go build the proportions. So for utilities, guys, is utilities going to ever self-allocate? The answer is no. Okay, now utilities, are they going to help maintenance? Yes, because it's a step-down method, right? Remember the step-down method? Okay, you pick like the top stair, essentially, like the first stair. And afterwards, guys, you allocate left to right. Okay, that's all you do, left to right. So utilities helps everyone. Then, guys, we build our staircase, and it'll look like this in your allocation matrix, right? So utilities helps everyone else. Maintenance only helps the next person. So maintenance only helps personnel before operating. And then remember, guys, the last support department, it basically is the direct method, because the last support department can't help any of the other previous ones because you can't go up the stairs, remember? Our cardio is horrible. You know, we don't go upstairs, we only go down. So we don't go backwards, we only go forwards. So the last support department, it's like you're doing the direct method. Okay, so that's how the staircase looks. Right, but regardless, we'll just go through it anyways because this is not a good answer. Let's get rid of this. It should be zeros, okay? Because that's technically what the answer is. Now, utilities, no self-allocations. I'm putting 0 here, okay? And technically, it should be as a fraction, but fraction is still 0, but yeah. Okay, anyways, just to show you the final answer. Okay, so let's go put this all as fractions too, by the way. So let's go put fraction, just so we can adjust it right off the bat. Sorry, I gotta get personnel here. So fraction. Let's go put 3 digits, and now let's get into it, okay? So utilities, 0. Now let's go do the total allocation, okay? So utilities allocates based on kilowatts, guys, okay? So now we see utilities helps maintenance with 1,200, personnel for 500, 33,000, 35,000. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, guys, here, just to take a shortcut, I already did the direct method here. So I already did 33,000 plus 35,000, so I could just take the 68,300, which I know is the sum of these two, right? Because I already did it once, and just do that, plus now 1,200 that we allocate to maintenance. You see 1,200 kilowatts for maintenance, then 500 for personnel. So that's 70,000. Okay? That's the first thing. If you want me to add up each thing individually, I could. Because, you know, there we go. I'll just do it just to be safe, just so you guys can see. 33,000 plus 35,000. Okay, boom. 70,000. You see how we get that? Now we can go build our proportions. So for maintenance, I'm going to do 1,000 equals 1,200 divided by this. 3 over 175. Then we got 500, so equals 500 divided by this. 1 over 140. Okay. Then what do we have here? What's the next one? So equals machining. So we got 300 divided by this. And then we got, last but not least, we got assembly, 35,000 divided by this. And just like that, guys, you are now good. Is it really 1/2? I want to check my solution here. Yeah, it is. Cool. All right. Everyone, hope this is all good. Hope everyone's okay with this. No concerns. Regardless, I'm in a recording by myself, so can't really answer, but yeah. Okay, now maintenance. Let's do the allocation for maintenance. Now, guys, maintenance. Do they ever allocate anything to utilities? The answer is no, because you can't allocate backwards. Remember, you're building your staircase like I showed earlier. So maintenance isn't going to go allocate to utilities because maintenance comes after utilities in the step-down method. They come after on the staircase. So maintenance doesn't allocate anything to utilities because they come after. Then, guys, maintenance. Do you ever allocate maintenance to yourself? So the fact that maintenance allocates 1,000 square meters to themselves, is that relevant? No. No self-allocations. Now, maintenance, guys, they allocate 1,000. So let's go build a total now. They allocate 1,000 square feet to the personnel, so we're accounting for that in our total. 40,000 for machining, and then 5,000 for assembly. So 46,000 is our total allocation. So for personnel, they use 1,000 of the total. Okay. Then we have here machining, which uses, let's see here. Oh, sorry. Machining, which uses 40,000 over 46,000. And then, guys, last but not least, we have 5,000 over 46,000. Okay. And there we go. 5 over 46. Okay. I'm pretty sure if you did this in your calculator, you'll get the same number. It's the only thing where Excel's more annoying with the numerical fractions. But hey, we're answering the question as they want it. Okay. You want fractions? Fine. No problem. We'll play ball. I don't prefer it, but whatever. Okay. Now personnel. Remember, guys, the personnel, the last support department, they only help the operating. So it's like the direct method. So 0 for utilities, 0 for maintenance. And why am I putting 0 also for personnel? Okay. Not only because it's, the direct method, but no self-allocations. Personnel cannot allocate to themselves. Okay. So now let's go build a total allocation. And guys, it's exactly like the direct method. So I'm just going to press equals here, 167, which is just 147 plus 20. And it's literally the exact same percentages. So I'm just going to press equals here and click on this. Okay. If you don't believe me, you could go do it yourself. You'll see you get the exact same thing. Okay. And that's how, guys, you could take a shortcut if you wanted to. So you could do it the long way if you would like and go like I showed you earlier. Let me just redo the step down with the way we've done in the past couple videos. So let's just go take this. Let me just drag down. Just give me a second. Okay, so we'll do that. And then afterwards, we'll put utilities up here. And let me just drag. Let me actually put utilities. Okay, then put total utilities percentages. Okay. So you go there and you would just go utilities, no self allocation, 0. Then you go 1,200, 500, 33,300, 35,000. Sum it all up. Then equals that F4 to drag. That's actually kind of fast. I'm not going to lie. This is actually kind of fast. And then boom. Okay. There we go. Okay, now let's go open this all up. Okay, there we go. There's one. Maintenance. You go maintenance. Why is it not dragging up? Sorry, guys, for taking a little bit longer here. I just want to show people because, it's good to know. Like, why not? So you can skip through this part. If you're okay, if you want to see how I do it normally, by all means, I like accommodating to the masses. So maintenance, guys, nothing gets allocated utilities. No self-allocation here. Then you have for personnel, maintenance allocates 1,000 square feet to personnel. Then we have 40,000, 5,000, and for the total, just sum, then equals that F4, drag, and then we drag again, and then number, fraction. There we go. And lastly, personnel, total personnel percentage. Okay, now for the personnel percentage, okay, you got here 0, 0 because it's the step down method, so you can't allocate backwards, personnel's last, and then no self allocation, and then the direct method from then on out. So you got 147, then you got 20. Okay, so we sum equals that, F4, drag. Sorry for taking the extra time. I just like to show people many different ways to solve the problems. Like I said, if you're skipping through, no hard feelings. Okay, there's literally 0 hard feelings there. So boom. This is how it would look like, guys, if you want to do it. You see it's a little bit longer in my opinion, but it's whatever way you prefer. So this is what your matrix would look like for utilities, for maintenance. And I call it percentage, but it's not really percentage. It's utilities fraction because that's how we have it illustrated as. But yeah, guys, that's it. So you see here, we get all the same numbers that we did up here, just whichever way you prefer. Okay. So now you have it for that, and you can do the same with the direct method if you want to structure it like this too. Okay. So we have our utilities column, maintenance column, and yeah, you guys get the drift. Sorry, I don't know why I'm doing this because I'm already in this deep. Might as well keep going. Okay, there we go. Bam. Okay, so there we go. That's all our allocations. Okay, now required 2. So we've done required 1A, 1B. Now required 2 is calculate the factory overhead application rates for the producing departments. Okay, guys, so now you have to calculate the overhead rate for the production department. How on earth are we going to do that? Okay, well, to do that, guys, you need to build your cost allocation board. Okay, so this was the proportion matrix. Now let's go build the cost allocation board. Okay, so we're doing it for the step down method. So let's go build our board here. So I'm going to calculate, put here, not calculate, put support operating. We could put here required 2. Step down method. Okay, now, whenever you see you have to calculate an overhead rate, guys, basically what this means here is that you need to find the cost after allocation. So, okay, and I'm going to show you first, okay, because for the factory overhead rate, your steps are when asked for MOH rate. Okay, so find cost after allocation for support department, sorry, for operating departments. Okay, that's your step 1. Step 1. And then guys, step 2 is very straightforward. Step 2, divide. Okay, divide cost after allocation by the expected activity to get your MOH rate. Okay, now for your overhead rate, guys, just one more thing, because I'll write the equation like this. Okay, your PMOH, your predetermined manufacturing overhead rate. You learned this in column 305. It's basically the rate they use to apply overhead throughout your entire business. So your PMOH, which is your predetermined manufacturing overhead rate, that's what it's called. You take your cost after allocation, and then you divide that by your expected activity. Okay, so that's just the amount of activity you expect to use in that department. Okay, now for the expected activity, guys, they have to tell you, okay, how essentially overhead is applied throughout this department. Specifically, guys, that's where the cost drivers are important. So normally, guys, we care about the cost drivers for the support departments because that's how we allocate costs. But when we want to find a rate for the production departments, guess what? We kind of use the same logic as support, right? For the support departments, we have to find essentially like an activity that we can use to calculate a rate. Now for the operating departments, it's the exact same thing, right? So we need to find out how this department incurs cost, and then we're going to use that to figure out the rate. Okay, so for the expected activity, guys, that's basically the cost driver or whatever they use to incur overhead in the first place. Okay, so cost after allocation divided by expected activity, that gives you your PMOH. And this expected activity, you get this from your board or if it's given to you. Okay, now here's the key thing here, guys, about the PMOH. Okay, it's the P in PMOH. And I want to highlight this. Okay, I'm putting it in blue. The P in PMOH, what does it stand for? Okay, and let's go copy this in here so we have more room to write on Excel. Okay, whoops, let's get rid of, we don't care about question 4 right now. Okay, let's put this here. Okay, now the P in PMOH, what does that stand for? The P is for predetermined. Okay, and what that means is it's before the year starts. And what does that mean, guys? Use budgeted values only. If that's not given to you, then if not given, use number from table. Okay, so what do I mean by that, guys? The P is predetermined. So guys, in COM 305, you learned about the predetermined overhead rate in chapter 3. Basically, it says companies, when they want to apply their overhead throughout the year, before the year starts, they get together, they determine what their overhead is going to be. Because this is what you did in COM 305. Your PMOH was your estimated MOH divided by your expected activity, okay? Now, at the beginning of the year, companies would get together and they would basically try to guess what their overhead is going to be throughout the year. And it's usually based on last year, just in real world perspective. They usually look at last year and kind of guess around that. And then they determine what is the cost driver for this activity. So what activity in the business best represents overhead? And this is what you learned in COM 305, that there's generally 3 overhead application drivers that they use. So the first one is when you apply overhead based on machine hours. Okay, the second one, you apply overhead based on DL dollars. Based on DL dollars. And then the last one that you see, okay, is you apply overhead based on DL hours. These are the 3 common expect activities that you see, guys. So you always have to look in the question here, because the estimated overhead now, how we're changing it in ACO 330, we're just putting cost after allocation. Because guys, your estimated overhead is usually the cost from that department with all the other support costs that are allocated to it. So it's a little bit more complicated way to get the estimated overhead, because in COM 305 they just give it to you, but in real world application, right, the amount of overhead that you estimate, essentially, guys, what we're taking here is we're taking the cost of the production department, and then we're getting all the estimates from all the other departments that they're going to be allocating to us based on our expected usage. Okay, so that's what we're doing here in ACO 330. So your PMOH, guys, is your CAA divided by your expected activity. Now, I'm going to show you guys how to incorporate this into your template so you're okay. All right, so don't worry, guys. I'm going to show you. It's actually very straightforward. Maybe you're a bit freaked out right now, but like, oh my God, overhead rates. I thought I was done with this. Guys, you're not done with this until you're done your CPA. And even then, maybe you're not still done with it. Okay? Never ends. That's the secret. Okay? Trauma for life. All aboard. Okay? So here we go. Let's get into it. I'm going to show you guys. It's not that bad. Okay? Of course, that's me and I like this class. But yeah. Anyways, guys, for the support, let's go put here our utilities. And we can kind of just copy it. There we go. Okay? Because utilities, maintenance, personnel, and then machining and assembly. Okay? Because we know that's the ranking because they gave us the ranking. Okay, now for our first thing here, we put cost before allocation. Okay, then guys, let's allocate utilities, maintenance, personnel, and then we have our cost after allocation. Now, here's the thing, guys, from this point. This is how I want you to adjust your template when you're given a question on overhead rates, okay? And look how simple this is, guys. You have your cost allocation, and all I want you to do is then put your expected activity right below. And then that gives you your PMOH, your predetermined overhead rate. And remember, guys, your overhead rate, your production overhead rate, is for the operating departments only. You're never doing overhead rates for support, because look here, guys, 0, 0, 0, and 0. What on earth are you going to divide by? Right? There's no overhead rate for support, because support, guys, we make rates for support that go to operating. And only, guys, for operating, we figure out the rate per machine hour or the rate per DL hour, because that's basically, guys, our rate for our production, which then we use to produce our product, which is what we then sell, right? So your overhead rates, guys, is only for the production department. So PMOH only for production department or / operating department. Okay, so I want you guys to be very convinced of that as well. So let's just jump right into it. So I'm going to copy in all my costs right off the bat. Okay, there we go. Start off strong. Now, guys, let's allocate utilities. So first off, utilities, you can press equals, minus, and click on this. Okay, and then I'm going to sum this up just so I know I'm doing it good. Because remember, the cost after allocation at the end of the day has to be 0. Has to be 0. Be convinced of that. There's no other way around it. Okay, next up, let's go now allocate utilities. So utilities is the first thing we're going to allocate. and let's allocate to maintenance. Now, guys, normally I'd say build our proportion matrix, but look here. We did it above. Thank the Lord. So let's do 800,000 times, and we'll do it, use our original matrix, 3 over 175. That gives you 13,154. Oh, I forgot to put a minus sign in front. There we go. 13,714. Then personnel, 800,000. And then, guys, okay, 1 over 140 is the amount of utilities that's allocated to personnel. I'm not going to even try to say what that is as a percentage, but we can look just for the sake of it. Okay. Interesting percentages here, but whatever. Okay. Now let's keep going. For machining, equals minus this times machining. It's 333 over 700. And last but not least, equals minus that, 800,000 times 1 over 2. 400,000, okay? And then we go check our answer at the end just to see if we've allocated the cost properly, because remember, it's going to add up to 0. And it does. Good. Utilities is now allocated. Okay, now let's do maintenance. Maintenance now, guys. Does maintenance ever allocate backwards to utilities doing the step-down method? No. 0. Okay, now, maintenance. Do they ever allocate anything themselves? Not possible. Okay, as a matter of fact, guys, what maintenance will allocate is to all the other departments. So this is going to be our negative number. Okay? Because remember, guys, the step-down method, you could build your little staircase if you would like, if it makes you comfortable. Okay, we'll do the staircase like this. Okay, so we're not going to put a little thing under the staircase, you know. So hopefully no one falls through. It looks like those fancy stairs that you see on those reality TV shows like Selling Sunset. I'm guilty of watching that, okay? LA real estate that I'll never afford, but one can dream. Okay, so anyways, guys, next up. You know what? No, we got to be optimistic. Yes, I can afford $1 billion home, and yes, I definitely want $1 billion home. Okay, for sure. That's definitely what I would want. I wouldn't be scared of being shot at night, especially in America. Sorry, guys. Sorry for people who love America. My bad. Okay. I wouldn't want to wear Kevlar when I go to bed. I imagine that's pretty uncomfortable. Okay. So now, everyone, let's get into it. So, okay. Enough of hearing about my stupid stuff. So equals minus sum. There we go. 663. Okay. That's our amount. That's the amount that maintenance can be allocating to every other support department that comes after it. Okay. So utilities, guys, allocates to every cost afterwards. Here's the top dog. It's on the top stair. Maintenance allocates to every cost afterwards because it's on the second stair. Personnel allocates only to the operating departments because it's on the last stair. Okay, so now let's do our fraction. So equals minus 663,714 times 1 over 46. Then we do here equals minus that times 20 over 30. Then equals minus that, because we know it's a negative number. We need it as positive numbers. 5 over 46. There we go. And now last but not least, personnel. So equals minus sum, because personnel, guys, has 400,000 cost per allocation. Then they receive 5,714 from utilities. They receive 14,429 from maintenance. So that means now personnel is 420,143 to allocate. So equals minus that times 147 over 167. Then equals minus that times, let's see here, 20 over 167. There we go. Now we add everything up. We go 2,557, 541, 892, 459. There we go, guys. And let's just add this all up just to see here. Yes, perfect. So remember, guys, at the end of the day, our total lines have to be 0 because basically we're taking the negative number here and we're spreading it to every other department that comes afterwards. So that's why when you sum up the whole lines, guys, it's going to be 0. So I always do those checks. So always check your cost after allocation for your support departments. Make sure these are always 0. Then make sure these are always 0 so you get your right answer. Okay, now for our expected activity, guys, we basically need to see how does machining incur cost? Well, it tells us for the machining division, they use machine hours to make their product. So to figure out overhead rate, we basically need to find out what's the rate for every hour, because that's what the PMOH is. And that's what a rate is in general, guys. It's basically a rate is the cost of one. Like what's the rate per apple, right? But that's basically like the cost of one apple. So guys, we need to find out what is the rate in the machining department, right? What's the rate per hour? So if we know that the total overhead here is 2,557,541, and our expected activity, guys, the machining department is expecting to use 500,000 machine hours, Then guys, your rate for every machine hour is 5.12. That is your overhead rate. Okay, so look how easy it is to calculate the MOH, guys. You just cost after allocation, then you just put expected activity right under, and then you just make sure you divide by the right number, right? So you have to divide by the right thing. So same way, guys, when we were allocating utilities, maintenance, and personnel, we have to make sure we use the right cost driver, the right activity to allocate the costs, right? To make our to do our allocation boards. Because when we're doing allocation boards, we're basically making a rate, right? When we're prorating, it's basically it's effectively a rate. So we're doing the same thing now, just for the operating. So now for the assembly, guys, it's based on DL hours, and we see here, guys, the direct labor hours for assembly is 60,000. So 60,000 here. Okay, and you got this straight from your board. So usually, guys, they'll tell you in questions, right? They'll tell you my expected activity or my estimated activity or my normal activity. Basically, they'll just use a bunch of different words for budgeted, okay? Because it's predetermined over rate. The P stands for predetermined before the year starts. So remember, guys, budget values only. And in Com 305, guys, like they just use, the way they trick you with this is the English. They'll just use different words for budget. You just have to know what's what, okay? Like just know like estimated, budgeted, anticipated, like bust out your thesaurus and go wild. Okay, just know like as long as it's not actual. If it says actual, that's not what you use. Okay, so we have 5.12 here, then we have 14.87 here, and just like that, guys, we have now answered a past midterm question on chapter 15 for period cost allocation, guys. So it's pretty tricky, especially, guys, we haven't seen this before, but do the proportions. But now you guys know how to do it. If they ask you for the proportions, just build your proportion matrix, whichever way you like. You could build it like the way we did, which is kind of like one shot, or you could do it line by line as we did it here. Whichever way you prefer, you do that. At the end of the day, guys, I just want you guys to get the question right, so it's good to see multiple ways. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this recording. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next one.